Hey guys, I'm still in Vancouver, so I want to take the chance to show you a little bit of the Vancouver sea walk here. But at the same time, we have to talk about something very, very serious, and that is Campi Flegrei in Italy again, in the greater Naples area with more than 3 million people at risk. It has been rumbling there. There's another earthquake swarm going right now, and it is concerning because this has basically been going on since we've seen the big one, the 4.4 in mid-end May this year. We've seen them on a regular base, and now we just had a very, very long earthquake swarm, basically from August 14th to August 25th, and then only a few days break, and then boof, it hits us again with a 3.7 and with some others around it. Many earthquakes in the smaller ranges. I only want to talk about the ones that are +1 or more. You see this in the list behind me. You've seen it in the video that I released yesterday, what the director of the Vesuvius Observatory and the INGV has said in an interview. That is very concerning, very, very concerning, because basically now they're not only talking about, okay, that is loud, that's a boat. They're not only talking about the earthquakes anymore. It's getting more dire. They can't keep it under the rug. They tried because of tourism and because of real estate values. It's one of the most beautiful areas with that coastline and high value real estate. That's the same here like Vancouver. We could face the big one, a 9.0 earthquake or even higher, and a tsunami wave. Here in Vancouver, the tsunami wave would probably not be that catastrophic because there's Vancouver Island that is probably getting all of that. But still, real estate by the water is prime real estate, and so is it in Pozzuoli. That is the closest to that active crater that we're seeing, the Solfatara, where we see most of the earthquakes. And so, since I said yesterday, even the director of the Vesuvius Observatory, despite him wording everything carefully, we don't need to read much between the lines. He's basically saying Naples, Italy, Pozzuoli could face a volcanic eruption of Campi Flegrei. Even if it's a small one, that's what the scientists are saying. It could even be bad enough, and it could be quite catastrophic. So that's why, and that's a first, they have released a larger evacuation plan also for Naples, for the red area. And in this video, I want to outline this for you because the scientists have said, use the boats, use the water to evacuate people as well, because they said it only takes 3,000 to 4,000 cars, 3,000 to 4,000 people to try to escape. They will clog these narrow roads, these old narrow roads in this area. We are not talking about LA style 6-lane highways. Narrow winding roads with a lot of bridges and buildings that are not up to code, because before we see a volcanic eruption, there will be earthquakes, and they can be very destructive and cause a lot of damage to infrastructure, old stone homes flipping over, blocking the roads. So that's why it is an interesting evacuation plan, but it is concerning also because Campi Flegrei stretches around 100 kilometers, and we have seen stronger earthquakes in the water. That's not the water of Italy, that's Vancouver, Canada. But we have seen the earthquakes in the water as well. So let's say there is an earthquake in the water in Naples, in the Gulf of Naples, in the Gulf of Pozzuoli, right? And we see an eruption there. It sends 100 feet, 30-meter tsunami wave towards the coast of Naples. So there's no getting out with a boat. Absolutely no way. So the evacuation, it is very critical, and the Minister of Civil Defense has just said recently the probability of a successful evacuation is very, very low, and that's why I find this so concerning. But guys, let's have a look at this evacuation plan, and then I would like to hear from you. What do you think? Does that make sense? Is that feasible if we really see an eruption of Campi Flegrei? And that is something that we really have to think about now. With all these earthquake swarms, you've heard it yesterday, the director of the Vesuvius Observatory said it is a sign that magma is moving. And what happens if magma is moving? You know that, guys, right? Especially if you follow my channel for a longer time. So let's look into this, but I won't do this outside. I need to be inside with a computer. I need to look at that map and I want to explain this to you. So back inside Silky. Okay, so let's have a look at this thing and then let's evaluate whether that makes sense or whether it makes no sense. So this is I wouldn't want to say new, it's an updated evacuation plan. And they started thinking about updating it after this magnitude 4.4 earthquake in May. And they really got pressure from a lot of seasoned scientists that are working on observing the Campi Flegrei volcano. So this is for Naples. And that is something kind of new, because before they were more worried about the Pozzuoli area and the direct area around the Solfatara. You see this here in these two different color zones. You see where the Solfatara is and where Pozzuoli is. I mean, of course, they're in the direct zone of danger, but Naples is affected as well. And the areas that they included of Western Naples, so to speak, were added and added and added onto. And basically, it seems that what they have done now is they are aware that there's too many people in an area that's too densely populated with too narrow roads, too many buildings, and no straight escape routes. That's why it was so difficult to come up with something that really works, not only on paper. And from what I've seen so far, I'm a little bit skeptical that this is an evacuation plan that will work in reality. It looks good on paper, maybe, but build your own opinion. So what they have done, basically, they have divided the red zone of Naples into 1097 census sections. So really in small sections. And then they want to basically, what they're trying to is evacuate section by section. So you see that map here. Unfortunately, the legend is not really clear to read. That's the only map I could find because this is brand new. They're filing this now with other institutions. So this was just mentioned, printed in some press article that had like an upfront access to that map. So basically what you see, all the red area, that's the danger zone of Western Naples. And then you see west of this, you see the area that's then Pozzuoli, and you see where Bagnoli is here. That's a little bit on the edge, on the western edge of that red map. And so this is the area where they have a decent evacuation plan. But what I'm always worried, and you see this here, the Italian Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology has made a 3D model calculation on how this potential eruption could look. And you see how it's erupting here, how it's spreading. And, you know, this will come with a lot of rumbling, with a lot of smoke and darkness. So, you know, the rest of these millions and millions of people that are in Naples, they will not just stay put in their homes. And you will also, in my opinion, not be able, and especially Italians who are very bright, self-thinking people, that from my experience, Italians, if you listen, let me know if I'm wrong, you're not too bound to authorities. If you think you need to do something for yourself, you're doing it, right? So the rest of the people of Naples that are more eastern from this red zone, if they see this volcano erupt, they don't know, is it a big eruption? Is it a small eruption? What's going to happen? They will leave. So I think everything will be clogged. You know, when the people from the red zones will even arrive outside of the red zone, probably the rest of that other eastern zone of Naples will probably have clogged the streets already. So this is my first concern. And the second concern is, how will people know which of these 1097 census section is theirs and where should they go? You would need a lot of practice, because if you're in panic, it's volcanic ashes everywhere. It's dark, maybe it's at night, but it's dark anyways, because a lot of ash and smoke will be spewed into the air by this volcano. If it breaks out in the water, then you'll have a tsunami. I have a very interesting tsunami map that I want to show you as well. But let's stay with this. But let's look at the theory. I mean, let's give it a chance. So there are escape routes that they have defined, and waiting areas for the red zones of this Naples area, should there be a volcanic risk, this is how they call it, coming from Campi Flegrei. So they're still hoping that they have enough warning time, but scientists have said the magma that is underneath that very weak caprock layer that only has a third of its original strength. So when there was a Brady seismic event in the 1980s, magma was trying to reach to the top, but the caprock layer prevented this. Now this layer is only a third of its strength, and what the scientists have said, the magma underneath Campi Flegrei is already in an explosive condition, in an explosive state. So it'll go very fast. So my personal belief is they won't have enough time, but let's hope and pray first that it won't erupt. But if it does, that everyone gets out to safety. But, you know, we have to be realistic about this. So they have hired a company to do this evacuation plan. The name of the company is Syntagma. And they have provided this to the municipality of Naples. So what they're thinking in this red zone, that's a population of roughly 200,000 people, that they want to evacuate these people within 48 hours. So 200,000, then we have the Pozzuoli area. So they were once talking about like 350,000 people. Out of over 3 million that will definitely be in panic if this thing erupts, right? If you see the simulation that they have made, that the official INGV has made, how this potentially might look. So 200,000 people, that's not enough, but okay. So when will this 48-hour period start? So they're saying it starts after the 12th hour from the declaration of the red alert. That's phase 3. We're in phase 1 right now, in the yellow alert. Although the officials have said last year, if these magnitude 4 earthquakes will continue, we will raise it to orange, but they never have. Although these earthquakes have continued and got even bigger. But I will also tell you what it means to go to orange. And of course, that's a problem, because that will hurt the economy big time. So phase orange, phase 2, that is the pre-alarm phase. So let's say they would transition from yellow to orange. That is a state of emergency that would be declared, and citizens who have alternative accommodation, they say, can begin to leave on their own, but they will not be able to return to their home until everything is set back to phase 1. So that is basically, you can leave if you want to. We give you the opportunity to leave, but note, there is no way to return. So probably maybe there won't be many takers. But had they done this, and it came out just a few weeks ago, it leaked out that they didn't do it because they were worried about tourism and property values. And that's why probably it hasn't been done. So because, you know, the way it looks now, magma, and they have confirmed this, is definitely doing something. Something's filling up, something's rising up. So, but it's difficult. They have done this in the past, evacuated people for a very long time, and then nothing happened, right? So, but the red alerts, phase 3, that is basically when everything it's worsening, right? That means all citizens have to be evacuated from the red zone. And they say it is assumed that the activities that are planned in this phase are carried out within 72 hours. In particular, what they want to do in the first 12 hours, they want to set up roadblocks. Yeah, and you hear me right. You would think, if everyone wants to get out, why are you setting up roadblocks? And that, I'm not an expert on evacuation. I guess they want to direct people to not create complete chaos. So access roads to the evacuation network are closed, and the roads that are dedicated to the evacuation are emptied. So, but people need to know that. They really need to have like a map in their head where they need to go. I think that takes a lot of training, and they did an evacuation rehearsal just recently in Pozzuoli, and out of over 80,000 people, guess how many showed up? 30. And some of you wrote in the comments, well, then I guess they will be able to evacuate 30 people. I mean, I'm laughing right now, but I find this just utterly sad. That's what I have to say. So what they then want to do after these roadblocks are set up in the first 12 hours, in the following 48 hours, the population that's in the red zone should be evacuated, and then they want to use the last 12 hours to represent a safety margin for completing evacuation operations. Yeah, that all sounds very nice, but how do you want to do this? So this plan, they say, includes both autonomous removal, whereby citizens will reach the exit gate in their own car, and from there head to their assigned region or to any independent accommodation. And also they say that they have organized assisted removal with buses, like 250 coaches and 750 drivers. Is this in case some don't show up or some can't make it to that point, I guess. So this plan was part of a resolution of proposal that was presented to the council on July 11th. And it will be submitted to the city council in their session coming up on September 4th this year. So that's why this has leaked in some way. That's why we're able to look at it. So this basically is an update of this municipal removal plan for a Campi Flegrei eruption. But also it includes a list of emergency areas of the civil protection. And we have to speak about these emergency gates again, through which the people will have to exit Naples, and then waiting areas from which then they will use bus shuttles that will then depart to other meeting areas. So this is a lot of logistics when you consider, and I play the video again, that this volcano is erupting. I mean, the small volcano in Iceland, when this started to erupt, that was even, right? I mean, imagine you're very close to this and then you have to evacuate. This is like 1,000 times bigger, and then you have to evacuate one of the largest cities in Italy, right? So they're giving codes to each of these 1,097 census sections, a code for removal. So will there be gates where you scan your code? I don't believe that anything of this is working, because whoever is set up to organize the evacuation, if you see that volcanic monster in the background, you just run. It's a basic instinct. I don't think this is going to work. But then each of these areas has an assigned gate, an exit gate, and removal priority within 48 hours. So This red area has removal priority. Each section should be, they say, will be evacuated within a time frame of 1 to 3 hours. Only if they all really stay in place and not run at the same time, which my assumption is that they will do. And I have to be honest, I don't think I would wait, which is maybe stupid, but sorry, my instinct kicks in. So what this document should illustrate, what's the purpose of this document, is that it shows the entire procedure from removal from the city, hour by hour, and then neighborhood by neighborhood. And you might wonder, yeah, but what about the residents of Pozzuoli, right? And you see in that red area, that black line, that's the main road. And Pozzuoli is near that as well. So they have decided that the residents of Pozzuoli that are in the areas of that larger road, via Peschiarelli and via Napoli, these are the citizens who share the escape routes with the citizens that you see here of Bagnoli and Flegraean. They will have the priority. They will be evacuated in the first 3 hours through the Agnano and Italia 90 gates of the Naples ring road. That's their ring road there. So they will get them out there, and then subsequently then the residents of Bagnoli and Flegraean will be evacuated. So Pozzuoli first. Okay, that in theory, if the roads won't be blocked by them. I mean, if you want to block them, you need someone that supervises the roadblocks. So you have to be lucky that those guys will just not take it and run, right? So in this Naples area, there are 8 gates to exit the city. And if you look at that map, you see these gates, basically the yellow stars. And then you have these sub gates. These are all the light blue points and the purple points. And I don't know. When I look at this, I'm like, wow, this is really working? I'm not sure. So 8 gates to access the road network. So basically 8 access point to access the major road network. So they don't want you to come from other roads. And then there's 1 access gate to get to the port of Naples for the transfer through the water. So that is planned for citizens of Pozzuoli. They should be heading to Sardinia. And this is for both options, both that come with cars and those that are requiring assisted transport. So interesting. So they say citizens that are using cars heading to Sicily will use the Salerno-Reggio Calabria motorway in a southerly direction. And they have released like a table here with the codes and with the gates, with the name of the gate, with the road where you can get to the gate, which direction you're going to the gate, right? And what's your associated area. So I don't know. So it says, for example, if you look at the lowest, the gate 00, that's the port of Naples, that's for the people of Pozzuoli, right? So they're not using an arteria, a road, that's how they call it. And they're also not going in any direction. They're going to the port of Naples. So this is something that people really need to learn, because in panic, you tend to forget a lot of that, right? Yes, most of these gates are located along it's called A56, like an autobahn sort of thing, like a highway, the Naples Ring Road. And what they're saying is to avoid congestion on the exit routes, the direction of access to the road network has been established for each gate. So then they lay out how you access each gate. I mean, you don't need to look at that. That would make that video too long, but if you look at that map, you know, basically the Naples ring is that black road. And yes, I don't know, guys, will that road, I mean, if it already erupts, I think that's not going to work. And the problem is here the timing. Will the volcano give them enough warning, and will they know, or will they hear the warning? So what is the warning? The earthquake swarms keep coming one after the other with another big one. We just had a 3.7 yesterday. Is that a warning from the volcano? I mean, how much warning do they need to really trigger that? Because it could be too late. If there's a super strong earthquake swarm coming with hundreds of earthquakes, that's when the magma is coming, and then the warning time could be non-existent or super short. So what is new in this updated new removal plan? So they say, yeah, some new features, in particular that they made an attempt to maintain the flow of vehicles on these on-ramps, on the gates of the first levels, and they want to reduce this. They want to keep this at 600 cars per hour. That's why they're spreading them out, and that's why they've divided them in sections and want to evacuate section after section. So they have revised the pairing of gates to neighborhoods, and it was decided to pair 2 gates each to the neighborhoods of Pianura and Socavo, like Fuigrotta. So you have to look at that detailed plan to understand what that means. But basically, they want to control the access flows to these first level gates, and therefore to the main exit routes. And then they have second level gates. Yeah, they have 8 first level gates and 274 second level gates. And then they have 427 third level gates. And they say these gates are checkpoints before access to the first level gate, and it's manned by the police. So these have to be very brave men, that they would remain at checkpoint to do that if they feel it rumble. If everything's quiet, there is no eruption yet, it's just rumbling a little bit, yes, maybe if they really have 72 hours time or 48 hours even, it might work to some extent. But if the volcano gives little to no warning time, I think you can completely forget about that. And you would need to rehearse that so that every person of every district that they created knows what their district is and how to find these gates and where to go. I mean, I guess if you find the first one, then it's easier because they block off all the other roads. But still, if there's panic involved, if there's earthquakes coming, what all of a sudden one route is blocked because there's a building has collapsed, a car has broken down, the road has a crack. What then? Then the other roads are blocked with what? Probably not with manned police, because you don't have that many. Probably with concrete roadblocks, I don't know, signs, whatever. I don't know. People will probably break through them. That is my opinion. And yeah, they seem to have added a little bit of a water escape, but only for a small part, right? And how I understand the scientists that said you really need to look at the water, I think they meant more seriously along the whole coastline. And speaking of the water, I mean, if Campi Flegrei has an eruption in the water, which is not out of the picture because we're seeing epicenters and earthquakes, as you see here on the map, in the Gulf of Pozzuoli. So let's say it erupts in the water. It can send a tsunami wave towards the coast of Pozzuoli and Naples, that whole area, 100 feet high. That's 30 meters. So look at this map where you see where that wave would go. what you see basically on that map, if you look at the brown areas are the areas that have a slope with more than 5%. These are the brown areas. And then you see the lighter areas, the grayish, whitish areas. These are the areas that have a slope of less than 5%. So those areas would be prone to the water coming in. So guys, what do you think? Let me know. I thought, since everyone kind of has the feeling that the threat is getting closer, and I still remember the words of Roberto Scandone, who said in March, before we even had the 4.4 earthquake, he said, if I had the resources, I would evacuate now. And you can Google Roberto Scandone, who he is. He has worked for decades for the INGV, for the Vesuvius Observatory, and he still does. He has written numerous papers on Campi Flegrei, so he is the one who supervises this. He's really an expert. So he is very, very worried. And according to him, he would have everyone out by now. But so many people, economy, real estate, tourism, money. It's quite a poor region already. Where would you put the people? What would be the impact for Italy? I mean, it would be huge. And then nothing happens. Let's say nothing happens. You have a city of like Naples with millions of people. You have it sitting there empty, right? But as I just mentioned, Vancouver, where I am, that city could have a 9 magnitude earthquake. That could send some signals, maybe, that we know it's leading up to. Should we evacuate whole Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, Delta, all these cities, millions of people, and then let it sit empty? Probably we would say, nah, that's idiotic, right? And that's what the Italians are saying, probably. So it's a very, very dire and difficult situation. It's easier said than done. I mean, I could say, yeah, if I lived in Naples and these earthquakes would show up, I would leave. But then you leave your home behind. If you're not a millionaire, you can't buy something else. Where are you going? Yeah, maybe some relatives somewhere, but how long will that last, right? So it is difficult. So guys, as always, if you like this video, please leave it a like and push it out, share it with your friends, and become a channel member. I give you behind the scenes interviews or videos that show where I am, what I'm doing, a little pre-information about upcoming videos. And the membership is just an area where we can closer connect with each other. I would love to see you there. There's a link to the join button in the description of this video, and there's also a link where you can follow me on my buymeacoffee.com website. You can follow me for free. Of course, you can support my channel there, which is greatly appreciated. It really helps a lot. So thanks so much for doing that, guys, and for your supers that came in just in the last few days. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you very, very soon. Stay safe, be prepared. Bye-bye.